All right, everybody, welcome to this episode of H&S Outdoors. If you're hearing this right now, it means we went to the vault to bring you a podcast this week because either one, something messed up with the recording, or two, something happened where we wasn't able to put anything down. As always, a big thank you to Buddy Brown for letting us use his music in our videos and our podcast. And we got a show for you today. We're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to talk about some smokeless tobacco. We're going to talk about some country music. And we're going to have some more uberfacts for you. As always, I got my buddy Flying Ryan Havens on the line with me. How's it going, bud?
It's going good, man. How are you?
Not too bad. Just got in from work and laying around with my old German Shepherd here and just trying to unwind from the night.
Sounds good, man.
And man, the reason that we're doing this, saving some episodes for later on down the road is because technology sucks. I've been on the phone. Oh yeah, I've been on the phone with Ryan for 20 minutes now, and we're just now able to record because the recorder doesn't want to work. So you gotta love technology. But let's go ahead and get into smokeless tobacco because I use smokeless tobacco. Ryan does. Ryan, what do you prefer to dip?
Man, it varies. Actually, and this sounds crazy, but during the summertime, I love my grizzly long cut straight. But during hunting season, for some reason, I like grizzly long cut wintergreen. When I'm at work, of course, I have to dip pouches because it's what it passes in. And so it's not going to get all over my uniform, so I just dip pouches.
Okay. I never really could get in those pouches. I just wasn't strong enough for me.
No, whenever I dip pouches, I usually use 5 pouches at a time, so I can don't last me for about 2.5 dips.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I've told y'all in earlier podcasts that none of this stuff is scripted. I'll text Ryan, say, hey, I'm going to talk about this, this, and this. He says, I'm going to talk about that, that, and that. And typically, 95% of this is pretty much what we come up with. I text Ryan earlier and said, hey, let's do this podcast. We're going to talk about smokeless tobacco. When this goes out on YouTube, this is going to be called Quit Dipping Tips. And here's why, because I'm working on quitting. I've quit before and did the whole cold turkey thing. But I'm going to drop a little bit of information on you and give you some tips to quit and what I'm doing right now. It may work for you, it may not. First thing is willpower. You got to have willpower. Ryan, how long you been dipping, bud?
A little over a year now. And I've quit probably about 8 times already.
I've been dipping for about going on 12 years, so I've been around a little while, and my mouth it's starting to take a toll on my mouth. So I decided yesterday, as a matter of fact, as this is coming to you, that I was going to go ahead and throw the can out. And let me tell you about the process I got going on right now. Ryan, you've tried the fake dip. What do you think about that?
Well, I've experimented with it a little bit. The Smoky Mountain stuff, it's just so messy and it's so... Man, you put a dip in it, it's all over your mouth within 5 seconds. I just don't like the Smoky Mountain myself. Of course, you can get the wintergreen straight, the classic, which is natural. You can get Arctic mint, which is just like mint. You can even get the pouches. And I don't like the pouches because, you can't spit with them. But I have found something that is more realistic than the Smoky Mountain. It's called Jack's Mint Chew. And occasionally I'll put in a dip of the spearmint. It's just like regular snuff. Of course, it don't have the nicotine or tobacco, it's just got that mint leaf. So it works pretty good. It's pricey, but it's the closest thing to real snuff that I've found yet.
Okay. Let me tell you what I'm working on here, what I got going on. See, the fake stuff costs just as much as the real stuff. So.
Oh yeah, it's not more. The Jack's Mint Chew on Amazon, which is where I buy it from, it's $6 a can. It's more than Copenhagen, Silver Lid, or anything.
Yeah, it's crazy. Why spend more for the fake stuff when you can get the real stuff cheaper? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly right, dude.
But me personally, I'm a grizzly wintergreen long cut man, and occasionally I'll switch over to Copenhagen if I get a little dry on grizzly. But what I've been doing here lately, I finished off my can yesterday. I got some tea leaves, because that's the fake stuff is tea leaves. So what I do, I take tea leaves, it can be any tea leaves, I do the peppermint, and then I have some Lipton iced tea that I use. And I bust open the pouches, get a little bowl, pour the tea leaves in there, just a little bit of water, and a little bit of sugar just to kind of give it that sweet taste,
Right.
And I'll mix it all up, put it in my grizzly can, and go on about my day. Now, what I got going on right now is I allow myself to dip real tobacco while I'm driving. And then I allow myself one cheat dip. And actually right now I'm using my cheat dip to record this podcast. But that's all the real tobacco I'm taking in right now. And man, I can already tell a difference. I didn't have my morning dip this morning. I was pretty irritated when I got out of bed.
Right.
But as the day went on, I started feeling actually a little bit better, to be honest with you. So for anybody out there that's, if you're a dipper, hey, I'm down with it. Whatever you want to do, it's your life. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to quit, if you take the method that I'm showing you, it's much cheaper. You have to experiment with it a little bit and find out exactly, what tea bags you like, how much water. Because the amount of water that I'm using right now, it's about the consistency of Copenhagen Fine Cut. And, I'm okay with that.
Right. I found, I don't know about you, but I had quit for a pretty good time, maybe a month and a half. And here, I don't mow now, because I can't stand inside of a barn and hit anything. I can't even hit the barn from standing inside of it. So. But whenever mow loader season opened up, I started hunting pretty heavy, and I just found that it was really hard to not dip during hunting season. But it's like what you said, it's all about the willpower. You got to have it in your head. Hey, I'm going to quit. And if you got strong enough willpower and you're going to work for it, it'll be a lot easier for you. But I myself, I just don't have a lot of willpower.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to give up. That's for sure. But next up on the agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about country music. Now, I told y'all before, we're not always going to talk about strictly hunting and fishing. We're going to give you some life lessons, a little bit of 411 on some stuff that can help you out, things like that. And just general stuff that me and you talk about in text messages, phone calls, Facebook, whatever.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about country music. What do you think about today's country music compared to the old school country music?
Well, my opinion on it is it's good. I like it. But it's not what country music was 10, 15, 20 years ago. It's definitely not country music back whenever Merle Haggard and Hank Williams Sr. and all of them was that. It's definitely not that. But it's evolved to today's time. But my biggest problem with it now is you got a lot of it's, I wouldn't even call it country music, a lot of it's more pop than anything. And now you got singers out there who's coming out with a song that'd be pretty decent, and next thing you know, they're doing a remix of a rapper in it, and that's just not country, man. If that's what they're like, then fine. But I just don't like seeing that stuff on the country music awards and on CNT and stuff. I myself, I like country music, and I switch up my music when it comes to country. I like a lot of the newer stuff. I like a lot of the older stuff. But when you get mixing it with pop and you get to mixing it with rap, it's just not country.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Some of the new stuff I like out of the new mainstream. Is there anybody out there you find yourself listening to on a regular basis?
Well, yeah, one of my favorites is Justin Moore. I think that he's the closest thing to the older countries you can get nowadays. He's just he's just an everyday guy. I mean, he sings about life things. He don't bring rap into it. He don't bring pop into it. He's just a country guy. Just, like me and you and a lot of others up there. I find myself listening to Buddy Brown quite a bit. He's good. He's country too. I mean, he's straight up country, just like Justin Moore is. And they sing about life things. They don't sing about going out here and partying and all that. And that's what I like.
Oh yeah. Oh, hey, Buddy Brown. There's another shout out to you, buddy. If you hadn't checked out his YouTube channel, he's got some pretty funny original stuff on there, and he's got some great covers. Go out there and check that out.
And I'm pretty sure he's got a new album out too, don't he?
Yes, sir. Keeping It Country is out on iTunes and Amazon. Now, me personally, I like Easton Corbin's pretty good.
Oh yeah.
At least from what I heard of him. But I'm really into the Eric Church right now. He kind of reminds me a lot of Hank Jr. as far as paving his own way.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, here's another one I want to throw out there. Like I said earlier, I don't like it whenever they bring rap into it. And this may be a little bit contradictory. I don't know. It's not really because it's not really rap. But Colt Ford's pretty good. I like Colt Ford. I listen to him quite a bit.
I never really listened to any of his music. I did listen to a little bit of that new guy, Big Smo.
Yeah, he's pretty good too.
Some of his stuff ain't too bad. I'll be honest with you. I only listened to one song, and that was My Place with Darius Rucker, I believe it was.
I like Working. That's a pretty good song. But that's from Big Smo. He's pretty good too. But, they're country guys too, and they don't bring rappers into it. I mean, of course, it's country rap, and that may sound like a little bit contradictory there, but they're all right. They're pretty good, I think.
Now I'm gonna ask you a question that it's a very debated question in country music.
Oh, yeah.
Who do you think is the best, greatest country music singer that there ever was?
I'd have to say George Strait.
Oh, I didn't see that coming. Now, don't get me wrong. George Strait, he's here's the way I like to break it down. I like to break it down into two categories. You got the old, and then you got the old. If that makes any sense. Old, Hank Sr. hands down.
Oh, yeah.
He paved the way pretty much for country music. I actually went, last time I was in Nashville, I went to the Music Hall of Fame, or Country Music Hall of Fame, and they had the Williams Family Tradition exhibit up, and man, there's some awesome stuff in there. Some of Hank Sr.'s old guns, suits, all of that, man, and it's pretty awesome.
He was good too, and back in those days when Hank Sr. was around, Jerry Reed was good too. I mean, he was one of the originals, I thought.
Yeah. I agree with you there. Now, when you get to just the old, George Strait, hands down. That guy is. What I should have done when I was thinking about doing this podcast is I should have thought of something better than old, and old. But yeah, George Strait, he's when they say he's the king of country music, he's no question about it.
I just have a problem with today's country music. A lot of it ain't decent anymore. I mean, you watch the awards, the country music awards, and CMAs and all that stuff, and you got these women out there, and man, that's not the way that it used to be. They kind of dressed very, very indecent. That's not the way country music was formed,
Yeah, and a lot of people would argue with you that country music has to evolve, and it does to an extent. However, I don't think, you can still look modern and not look, let me think of a nice way to put this, not look trashy.
Yeah.
I had to think about that before I said that one.
Hey man, I understand that. But, you know, it's just, you know, a lot of people would say, you know, it has evolved, and I mentioned that earlier, you know, country music's evolved to today's time. But, you know, you can look modern, like you said, you can look modern without looking like that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to wear a skirt that's, you know, barely below your waist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand completely that, man. Just, that's just another thing. You know, country music, and I think we're getting away, you know, a lot of the newer stuff, we're getting away from country.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's move on down the road to the next subject. Before we get into some Uber facts, I want to tell you a story that literally just happened to me about 20 minutes ago. Well, 20 minutes before I called you. My father-in-law asked me to run to the store for him. You know, no problem. Hopped in my truck. Actually, hold on. Before we get into that story, I'm going to tell you another story. It's about the Toyota Prius. It's not that I don't like the Toyota Prius. It's the people that drive Toyota Priuses that get me. Because they think they got this little fuel-efficient car that they can just cut you off when you're going down the road.
Oh, yeah.
I came up on an accident not too long ago. And, you know, I had to get another lane. No big deal. Got over another lane. Checked my mirrors. Make sure I was safe. Well, there's very little room between the car in front of me and myself. Next thing I know, this little red Toyota Prius is squeezed right in between us, and I'm right there on his bumper. So if you're driving a Toyota Prius and you're listening to this podcast, please learn how to drive if you don't know how to drive. But anyway, back to the story at hand here. So I went to the gas station. I'm sorry, go ahead, bud.
You saying I can't drive or something?
Well, I mean, we all know you have a Toyota Prius. I haven't seen you drive. Every time we've went somewhere, you know, I drove. But, hey, when I roll into town here next time, what we're going to do is we're going to jump in your Toyota Prius and see what happens.
we all know I don't own a Toyota Prius.
That's not what I hear, but, hey.
Hey, I drive a smart car, not a Toyota. No, I really don't.
But
I couldn't fit in a smart car.
I don't know too many people that can.
I'd have to cut the top off and sit on the back of it. So I could go for it.
Yeah, pretty much. But so I went to the gas station for my father-in-law, and I pull up to the gas pumps, right?
Right.
You know, it's a little after 11 o'clock at night. Not many people there. Nobody's going to be mad at me for taking up that one gas pump to go in there and do the business I need to do. Well, I roll up. Tell me what you think about this here. I roll up. Guy's sitting there smoking a cigarette, pumping his gas.
Holy cow, man.
Yeah.
That's I'd be getting far away from there quick.
Yeah, I pulled up and I looked at him and I was like, what in the world are you doing? Thankfully, the gas station didn't blow up, and I'm here to record this podcast for you.
Thankfully.
Yeah. But we're going to go ahead and get into some Uber facts here. All right, you ready for the first one, Ryan?
Yeah, boy.
All right. Australia has over 10,000 beaches. You could visit a new beach every day for over 27 years.
That's actually unbelievable.
Hey, they say it's true.
Are they like, I wonder if they're like big beaches or if they're just little tiny things or?
Hey, that's a good question. I don't know. I'd probably never go to Australia, but definitely something
I had
worth.
a chance to go one time, but I didn't.
Yeah, I'm not big on leaving the country.
Yeah, I understand that. I like staying here in the good old U.S.
Oh, yes, sir. All right, uber fact number 2. People who sleep just 6.5 to 7.5 hours a night tend to live the longest.
That's scary.
Yeah, because I'm sleeping about 8 to 9 hours, so I guess
I'm sleeping 8, at least.
I guess I'm going to have to cut back a little bit.
Yeah.
Here's one you're probably going to get a kick out of. Scientists recently discovered a 3,500-year-old tablet containing what is believed the world's oldest your mama jokes. So,
Are you serious?
that's what it says. So they're saying that the cavemen were sitting back there carving your mama jokes into rocks. Is what I'm getting.
That's pretty funny.
Now, this next one I know is true because of the pictures you post on Facebook. And it says men take double the amount of selfies that women. Men take more selfies than women, basically.
Well, I can believe that. Actually, if you go on Junior Adams' Facebook, you'll see selfies. You will see selfies of him deer hunting.
True story.
Yeah, very true story.
Junior, next time you're on the podcast, we're going to talk about this. Ryan, make sure you remind me.
Yeah, I sure will.
Okay, let me ask you this. How many selfies do you have on your cell phone?
The real thing that we stopped at is how many pictures it takes to get the perfect one now. you can't just take one selfie and it not be perfect and then, put it on Facebook or Instagram or send it to your girlfriend. You gotta get the perfect one. And with me, sometimes it takes 15, 20 selfies. I'd say I stand firm on about 400.
Oh.
No, not really. More like 20.
True story. This just happened to work tonight. I can't go into details about it, but I had to review the security cameras at work. There was a girl who was standing in front of the mirror. Now, let me get this out there. I work at a fitness center. We don't have cameras in the bathroom. Fitness centers have mirrors. Let me just throw that out there. She was the only one in the room, and we had to check that room for something. I can't go into detail about it, but she took at least 20 selfies.
When I used to lift weights, and I used to be big into fitness, which you could always look at me and tell I was never serious about my fitness because I always had the gut and everything else. But back when I lifted weights, man, I used to take a lot of selfies. Arm flex, the lifting the dumbbell. Heck, I'd even had people take pictures of me doing the bench press. No jokes.
Ryan, do you have any of these pictures?
Yes, I got pictures of me lifting the bench press, actually.
When this you don't have any of you taking a selfie lifting dumbbells?
No, but I got some dumbbells I can take a selfie with.
All right. When this podcast airs, I want to see that selfie.
Yeah, boy, I can arrange that. You'll be amazed at the 50 pounds I can do curls with.
Oh yeah.
I can lift them over my head. I can do the double arm curl. The single arm curl takes a little bit. It takes a little bit of motivation to get going. You may have to lean into it a little bit, but it'll get there. But if you see me leaning a little bit, then you know what's going on. The 50 pounds on that one side is pulling my body weight to that one side. Man, it's a true story. Not that I can't live.
I tell you what, next time we do a vault episode, we'll talk a little bit about fitness and we'll go into some details here.
It's very hard to lose weight. That's one.
Actually, it's not that hard to lose weight unless you're me and you have to eat like every piece of candy or every sweet thing in the house.
Well, I do night shift. I'm a security officer. I do night shift. And my shift consists of the other shit and lunch that I pack. Yeah. I mean, there for a while, the first few weeks, I started gaining tons of weight. And it was actually pretty scary. But I started flying back on my eating and exercising a little more. And then I started dropping a little bit of that weight off. And it's hard. For me, it is.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to go into some details about a little bit of fitness there on the next podcast. But I got one more Uber fact for you. A while back, I invited you to do an experiment about a cat and its predator.
Yeah.
Well, here's another experiment for you. It takes about 364 licks to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop.
I never get past one because then I just beat it.
That's what I'm saying.
I never make it that far.
For the sake of all of our viewers and all of our Facebook fans and whatnot, are you willing to try this experiment?
I mean, I would, but I can't promise you I'll make it past 3 licks.
You remember back in the day they used to have the little owl, and how many licks does it take to get to the center? And they'd like lick it about 4 times and they'd bite it off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's me.
See, folks, just like I told you, we're dropping some very important information on you.
I mean, that's something everybody should know, how many licks it takes to get to the center of the Tootsie Pop.
Yeah, I mean, people's been wondering that for years, ever since the commercials aired.
Yeah. Now you get the little Tootsie Pop. I wonder how many it takes to get the little Tootsie Pops to the center of it.
That's a good question. Here's what we're going to do, folks. We're going to put on our lab jackets and head into the science lab, and we're going to do it for you, and we're going to find out. All right, buddy, I'm going to get ready to get some sleep. We're always getting podcasts and videos out to you. The podcasts drop on Monday. The videos come out, as soon as they're made. Is there anything else you want to cover before we wrap this thing up?
No, sir, I'm good.
All right, as always, make sure you like us on Facebook, H&S Outdoors. We have a Snapchat, H&S Outdoors is the Snapchat name. You can email us questions, concerns, complaints. Tell us that this podcast sucks. Yeah, you know what? Speaking of that, Rome didn't get built in a day, so bear with us. We're getting this better. But you can email, yes sir. You can email us at handoutdoors@gmail.com. Check out our YouTube channel. Subscribe to us. We're always putting up hunting videos, podcasts. Am I missing anything, Ryan?
I think that covers it.
All right. Well, that's it for us. We do hope this podcast finds you well. We're looking forward to getting some more guests on the show, and we'll catch you later on down the road.